ride together, we die together. We bad boys for life. Get busy living, or get busy dying.
You ain't first, last. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Welcome to Brews and Reviews with Mick and Pat. I'm Mick.
And I'm Pat.
And each week we sit down with you degenerates to pretend we're certified cicerones and cinephiles.
That is right. So grab a cold one and join us as we review True Brewery's Nazareth and Dune Part 2.
And if you've been with us before, you know what time it is.
Release the Kraken!
A little bit,
That smells good.
it does. And if you are a follower of Mick and Pat's Brews and Reviews, you have heard of True Brewing before. And they are back again. This will be our 5th, 6th, 7th. We're missing one can in there.
I think 7.
I think there's like 7th beer of theirs, so we've been fans of them. And the can, we all know what a True Brewing Co. can looks like. It's a matte black can. Well, not today. Today, it's a matte green can, you know? I think it's a little bit matty still. It's not too shiny. And
Yeah, no, it's still matte.
And the artwork, true to form, is kind of dark, kind of scary, simple and yet complex. You know, it's designer on here. We've got a gentleman who is hooded.
Whoa,
We don't know. We don't know if it's a man or a woman.
Okay.
All right. All right. It's a hooded individual with a gas mask on and some tanks on their back, and they're surrounded by fumes. It looks like is that a bomb or just a bubble down there in the bottom right? I think it's just a
I
bubble.
think it's just a black bubble.
Yeah, but then that other
Noxious
little bubble
bubble.
makes it look like an old bomb. But anyways, yeah, this is a dude walking through some rowdy green gas
I think the green gas is coming out of
him. Is that what he's breathing?
Look at the green gases in the tank.
Ah, I see.
It's got, like, for any of you who are Warhammer 40K fans, if you've seen what the mechanists look like with their hoods and their coils and tubes and gas masks and tanks,
Mm-hmm.
he's like a green version of that. And I think the smoke coming out of him is like his exhale
Yeah.
of the stuff in his tank.
And it's a dragon.
You think that's a dragon?
Upon further
Is it a dragon?
investigation, I believe it's a serpent-esque dragon.
I thought that was a horse skull at the bottom.
Oh, and a horse skull. There's both a horse skull and a dragon.
Dude, what is it? Horse and dragon?
Oh, wow.
What if it's shots fired, dude? What if there's a brewery beef?
Are they killing the horse and dragon with this double IPA?
That really does look like a
Huh.
horse and dragon.
That is a horse and dragon. That is,
For people who don't know,
Yeah.
Horse and Dragon is a brewery here in Colorado as well.
yeah. And they make some good beers. Some of my favorites. The one on here we did the Midnight Stallion, which was a good one. But this is a double IPA, and I'm interested to see how the double IPA stacks up, because I think double IPAs are hard to do and without just being super skunky, super strong.
Mm-hmm.
But what's else is going on this can? We've got they don't have the hops written on here. That's all right, because I've pulled it up online. So we have the Troubadour Truth. Once again, the Troubadour Golden Oats, some Citra, a couple other little things that they've thrown in there. But I'm trying to see if they had any of the other malts or things in this. This wouldn't have that in here. But it's 8% of alcohol volume. And it's, 8% is kind of, I think, maybe on the lower end for a double IPA.
I agree.
Double IPA. And maybe,
I mean, I'm used to Mercenary being 10.
right? Like
10?
Yeah, like kind of like the high 9s, double digits. But so we'll see. That might help out with how they are able to keep this thing flavorful and good. And I have not had a sip yet. I think it's time for me to try it and see, because it smells good.
I've only sipped off the foam, the head, so that way I can fit more beer. And I have to say the smell and the head of it are really, I guess, balanced. Like really like not overwhelmingly skunky. I don't smell any of that dog food
Nope.
that I smell with a lot of double IPAs.
That's true. There's no dog food. Really not much. No skunk.
No skunk
Come
at all
on. So
that I can
that's-
smell.
That's impressive. So, is it time to push it through our teeth?
Yeah, so we're going to do the push it through your teeth test. And while I explain it, Pat's going to do it. And for those of you at home, just repeat it with me. You did take a tablespoon amount of the beer into your mouth. And you're going to let it roll over the top of your tongue, then down the sides of your tongue, and just let it get under your tongue. And then swish it to the side of your mouth, left, then right, then left, then right, and let it go between the teeth and really aerate. Then you put it right in front of your tongue, put your tongue against the roof of your mouth, and push it forward through the front of your teeth. And that really gets it pretty aerated. Should bring out all the flavors. Pat, what are you tasting while I take some of my own medicine?
Yeah, I think that is a wild push it through your teeth test, because I was expecting to have to like kind of have a stinging tongue afterwards with a, just that sharp skunk IPA pushing on the tip of my tongue. But really, it was just kind of creamy beer. And it just tastes like a good IPA. It was pretty mild.
That's some people might be mad here. Gosh, we sound like such shills. That's a juicier IPA than Juice Force.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a creamier, juicier taste to me, especially doing the push it through your teeth. Like the fact that like the strongest flavor after aerating it like that isn't an acrid bitterness, but is honestly, like you said, like a juicy, creamy, citrusy, creamy out of a double IPA. That's crazy.
And I'll be honest, Juice Force, I like it.
I love Juice
get
Force.
it quite
I
routinely.
drink more Juice Forces now. Like I say now, like having pretty much cut out most drinks and drinking very, maybe 2 beers a week on average. Juice Forces or Voodoo Ranger is probably like what I drink the most often. An iteration of Juice Force, right?
Yeah.
And that's just because that's what my buddies buy when they bring beer over.
Yeah.
And so, so I love it, but this is better.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is
Like, this
better.
is juicier and creamier.
And when it comes to Juice Force, I wonder if it's less if there's something going on with lower quality than when they were pumping it out the first time.
Yeah.
Because it's in every gas station as a tall boy can now.
Yeah.
So
I think we all thought it was going to be super seasonal.
Right.
And for some reason Juice Force was like, no.
Yeah.
This is it.
This
This
is-
is the one.
This is the beer
Who's
we
Top
plan on
Gun, dude?
people buying when they come home from work through the gas station.
Everyone wanted a Juice Force after Top Gun, and they never wanted it to go away. And it just has remained, I think. I think Top Gun and Juice Force coming out at the same time is what cemented it as like a non-seasonal beer. I do remember I was at New Belgium's Northern Colorado brewery, and they were doing a free beer survey where you just come up and sign up for it, and they just pour you a bunch of beer in taster cups, and you have to like sip it while you answer questions, and it will say like, now taste number 8. How would you describe it compared to number 7? And like there's a multiple choice answer, and like the guy was really great who was doing it. This was New Belgium employee, and he was like, I can't answer any questions until after you finish the whole survey. I was like, all right. And I finished it, and I was like, hey man, can I ask you a question? Can I whisper it so it doesn't spoil? He's like, yeah, for sure. I was like, are these all just Juice Force, but from different dates of brewing? He's like, yeah. There. Some of them were like super expired. Some of them were like fresh off the batch, and I was like, interesting. And then so like they were deciding like what is the best age of Juice Force,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty interesting. Anyways, back to this beer.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man? What else are you picking up?
I'm trying to pinpoint this. There's this one flavor in there that I can't figure out what it is that I'm having. I don't know.
I think give it a whiff.
I know. Like,
It's crazy how, like, if you held this under my nose and told me to guess what beer it was, I wouldn't guess an IPA.
is it? It's like the sweets, that sweet smell, that sweet taste. What is that flavor?
I think it's just like a fruity tooty smell.
Yeah, just a fruity, but yeah, like a citrusy, a little bit citrusy fruit flavor in there.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me for some reason of a jelly bean. I can't remember which one.
Oh yeah.
But it has like that fruity, creamy flavor of some kind of jelly bean, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
I like it.
As someone who really does love Mercenary, which is a hoppy double IPA, I think I'd pick this over it. Given like if the two, maybe I only feel that way because I know this is a limited run.
Right.
So if you're listening to this and you want to try it, get out to True Brewing's tap room in Denver, or try to look at their what's the term, man? Why am I blanking? The way you sell product. It's not dispersal. All I can think of is dispersal. You can look up who their distributor is,
Yeah.
and to see if it's distributed near you. They are getting bigger. Their operations are getting bigger and bigger. So maybe you can get a hold of it. But yeah, try to get some now before it's gone, because I imagine this won't be around very long.
Yeah, and unless you are Beer Cam from beeradvocate.com, who says, a failure, truly tastes disgusting, astonished at this flub, fake pineapple, horrific, oversweet fake lemon drop, intensely of clashing pine and cane sugar, no hop definition, coherence, almost the worst IPA I've ever had. F this shiz for real. I had high hopes after loving it last year. What a waste of money. Deep strike against True. But so he references
I gotta
last
imagine
year.
he had a bad beer
Right, but for like the fact that last year, did they change up their
recipe or
their
anything?
recipe on them? And I will say this: if you are planning on having your standard
Skunk.
double IPA, this
Yeah.
will fail you. Like
Yeah.
if you love Mercenary, and that's the taste you're going for,
If that's what you want.
this is different.
Yeah.
This is not that. It's this is more mild, and this would also be, I think, a good double IPA to introduce somebody to who's like not into it. Those are too like wild for me.
Yeah.
Well, here you go.
I
Try
think this
one.
is like I mean, like, regardless of it being double, this is a mild IPA in taste and profile.
right.
The fact that it's also punching at 8%, I mean, that's got some weight to it. Dude, I just actually still cannot get over the fact that that's a horse and a dragon. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's intentional, dude. There's no way that's not intentional.
I'm looking up Horse and Dragons double IPA. I gotta know, just what's their thing.
Well, while you're doing that, the reason we picked this beer, is we try to pick a thematic beer, and we had a couple options tonight, and Pat ended up picking this one out of the ones I brought, and it's because this dude on the front of the can is looking spiced up. He's looking like he's trying to retain his moisture in this suit and contraption he's got on, recycling his exhalation to contain that moisture trap, just like they do on Arrakis. Also spiced up because it looks like pretty like drugs, just like spice melange is in the world of Dune. And it's called Nazareth, which I thought was interesting because Nazareth is, terminology wise referred to often. Yes, it's a place, but it's often referred to as like a way of describing a messianic figure. Jesus of Nazarene, born in Nazareth. I think there's a lot of. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there like quite a few college campuses that are like something of the Nazarene?
Yeah, like churches and stuff.
Yeah, and so Dune being a movie about a messianic figure doing drugs, drugged out messianic figure trying to retain his moisture. This just seemed like it really fit the bill. So, and if you look at it and you don't think Dune, well, you're wrong, man, because that's clearly a spaceship in the distance behind him too.
It could be.
You don't think that's a spaceship? What is that? Floating city?
I think it's just a blob.
That in the back left?
Yeah.
Back right?
Yeah, I think it could. I don't know. I think it's up to the eye of the beholder. But before we get too much further.
Oh, it is dog. It is a violence between them, right?
Oh, well, no, it's not. I don't know that yet.
Okay.
But we have not given our thumbs.
Yeah, true.
Which I will continue to research this. I cannot find. It would be nice if like TMZ had an article on the beef.
There's a total of 15 people who care about microbrewery beef right now in like Colorado, and we are 2 of them. The other ones are employees at either of those companies.
Right, exactly. So we will see, but we might just have to call the artist, because I will say this is not the original logo.
Really?
Of the beer. The original logo just had it was green with the man in the gas mask, just a front view. And now they have then they added this smoky dying horse and dragon. So I don't know if it's just part of their darkness. They like to add some death in there, or if there was something going on with the horse and dragon up there. But if I had to give this beer some thumbs up or down, I would give it a 1 thumb up. And it's pushing up a little higher potentially, but I'm giving it a 1, solid 1 thumber, because that's how I'm feeling. But I think that for some people it might be a 2 thumber.
I'm some people, bro. That's a 2 thumb IPA. That is a distinguishably cut above the majority IPA, in my opinion. Because there's so many IPAs that we would be like, that's arguably just a good beer, and it's good enough that I can't give it a no thumbs.
Right.
So we've given it on 1. And I just can't think of another IPA. I mean, dude, we gave Juice Force like 2 thumbs up. 1 from you and 1 from me.
Right. This is true.
And I just think this is better. So I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up.
I think that's great, because I think it needs 3 thumbs.
It needs at least 3.
Needs 3 thumbs.
Did you know I was going to do 2? So
I was hoping you would.
Actually like hurt your own. You're like, I'm going to do 1 because he's going to do 2.
I was like, I can't give a 1.5.
It's true, dude.
So I was just hoping for the 3 thumber total.
Well, here you have it, Ken. True Brewing Nazareth. It is a double IPA. It's a smooth, non-skunky, non-bitter, fruity and creamy double IPA. Seasonal. I doubt it will be available for more than just probably through June this summer. I imagine it will be sold out of by then, unless they got some other batches they'll be releasing. But yeah, I'll definitely look forward to it next summer now after having tried it. And dude, now I just gotta take a picture and send it to Horse and Dragon.
Like,
what's going on here, dog? Yeah. That's so funny. Anyways, transitioning on over to the film of the evening, which is Dune Part 2. Now, Ken, if you haven't watched Dune or read the book or watched the remake for Dune Part 1, you can't be mad at us, because there's just no way to protect you and talk about Dune Part 2 without spoiling Dune.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're going to learn stuff about Part 2 listening to this that is going to be spoiling Part 1. So, all that said, we're not going to censor it. Spoiler warning, get ready. And hopefully, if you haven't seen it and you're waiting for it to come to streaming, this confirms to you to take the time to watch it, because it's going to land on streaming here in the next week or 2. And it's it was quite the theatrical experience. Like that was probably, I don't know, I did enjoy Oppenheimer, seeing it in IMAX and stuff, but dude, seeing Dune in the movie theater,
I wish I had,
even though I had technical difficulties. Like there was an issue at our movie theater where every single time swords or daggers connected on something or a gunshot, that audio for some reason in the like, digital file,
like the high-end tweeters were crackly, or
no, the audio was so loud that it would black out or go into like white noise on the movie screen. And it was weird. It was like it was a literal like digital issue, because it's not on film.
Right.
Yeah, it's a digital file that is sent out to all these movie theaters that they play off of. And I explained it to the staff, and they came in and they looked at it and they're like, "Whoa, that's weird." And it was literally like and I recorded on my phone to show them, because I didn't think they'd believe me.
Right.
But it was literally every time there was a gunshot or anytime swords clanged, for some reason that tone got so high pitched in the file or whatever that it like cut out the video. It was weird.
Oh, like the screen.
No, that's what I'm talking about. The screen went black or white noise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it was cool though, because I told them that and they came and looked at it, and they thought they fixed it. And then after the movie, I was like, yeah, it was kind of a bummer, but you guys definitely want to check it because like it was very noticeable for like the big fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh wow. And they went and I showed them the footage, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, here. And they comped me 2 full IMAX tickets for the next AMC IMAX I want to go to.
That's good.
And no expiration on them. And I was like, that is customer service. Because I didn't even ask for that, dude. I was like, hey, I'm serious, guys. Like, I don't think you guys know, like, get it. Like, it was hard to see stuff in the big fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, though, bro, it was like, I still enjoyed the movie a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though like it had technical difficulties. So it was definitely an IMAX worthy movie, a home surround sound projector, big TV movie. It's like, don't watch it on your phone if you can help it.
For sure. Yeah, that's right. I wish I did watch it on my TV, but I was like, when those 3 worms came out, I was like, I wish I was seeing this in the theaters. And I am going to go, I think because of this movie now, I've decided I'm going to up my sound system situation. Because I am like a kind of sound savvy individual, but on my TV for years, I've just had the straight speakers.
Dude,
no sound bar.
I'm thinking about upgrading my sound bar. And I was originally going to take the current sound bar I have and use it as my like new game sound system on my computer. I'll pass it on to you for real.
All right.
I'll give you free of charge. It's a great sound bar. The only issue with it is that when audio completely levels out to 0, it literally will mute and then unmute when this when audio returns.
Oh, really?
So like when in like poorly, what is the term? Poorly optimized files for streaming. You know, where like the movie file or the television show like has been optimized for streaming on a home audio system, and the volume just gets so low that technically on an audio system like our TVs and stuff, it just is. It's literally like if you talk to like audio engineers or people who edit videos, like you get to a certain frequency on a lot of speakers, it just bottoms out and like it's 0.
Right.
And so that's like the only thing that happens with that speaker, and you only notice it when it's like turned up to 11. You know what I mean? But anyways, yeah, definitely a big cinematic movie. Excellent sound effects. Excellent CGI. I thought like the CGI in it was uncanny. Like there was a couple points where I'm like, well, clearly they're not flying a drone over an alien planet where the city is built into a rock. But there was scenes I was looking at and I was like, I don't know what's a physical stage and what's not.
Like the skin of the sandworm.
Oh yeah, the worms themselves look great. I guess I was just thinking too, like I couldn't tell you like when they're filming, like there's a pivotal fight scene at the end, right? And like you can see all the scenery around the fight scene, and I couldn't tell where it stopped being a built set and where it started being CGI. Right. It was just very well done. Yeah. The worms were insane. The sand, the fact that like sand effects didn't look hokey.
Right. Like because they shot a lot of this in the desert. Yeah. But like, I don't know how they blended all that together with the whipping sand. Like
it looks so good. And it doesn't look like all of the sand is in front of your characters. It doesn't look just masked on.
It looks like it's wrapping them in the face. Yeah. And all around them.
Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution. Yeah, it was quite the visual feat. I also thought, before we get into everything, I guess we're just trying to talk about all the good stuff about the movie or overall thoughts of the movie before we get into spoiler territory. But I thought the pacing was really well done. And I know that was something Billie Jean said when we watched it. Billie Jean said, I could have watched that longer. And she is not a person who can usually sit and watch long movies.
Because this is a 3 hour. It's 2:46.
Yeah.
2 hours. 46
I mean, but
minutes.
if you're in the movie theaters,
yeah,
it's like 3.5.
Yeah.
By the time you sit down, previews start and then credits roll. But she was like, yeah, that was so well paced. Like, I really wasn't expecting it to end when it did. And I also could have watched for another 30 minutes and not realized it was 4 hours or 3.5 hours.
Which, like a movie we did when we did Napoleon, right?
Yeah.
We did
Oh my
Napoleon.
God, that movie felt like.
But like the
Movie
pace
felt like 4 hours, 5 hours.
Right. And the pacing, it's hard to say, like weird, like the pacing was similar, but missed so hard.
Like across time, you mean?
No. I mean like just these, you have these huge epic battle scenes, and then also like these like moments of true just like silence and two characters staring at each other, and some of the pacing in and out. But like I feel like that's how like there's some secret sauce that like Napoleon missed in there. There's like some like you can have a movie that is like has very, very slow, very like quiet non-dialogue scenes, no music going on, and then also all the way over to like these big crazy epic scenes, and you can pace it correctly to where a viewer's engaged the whole time. Where like the Napoleon one just the whole time was like it was no good. It was horrible.
It was fighting for my attention, dude.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I've never wanted to pull up my phone more during a movie in the movie theater.
Right. Yeah, like in a movie you paid to see and sit down. And so that's what Dune was. It's not like it's not balls to the wall the whole time. It's like it is. It ramps way back, but it's still paced really well for a long movie.
It's also like when it's ramping back, to me, it's just engaging. Like it's engaging storytelling, world building. And the fact that like it's not like I already have a predisposition to fantasy sci-fi because I know I've enjoyed that before, and I know I've enjoyed the concepts that go into it. The fact that Billie Jean is watching Dune, she can't remember Dune Part 1. Oh my gosh, dude, so funny. Yeah. I was losing my shit. Sorry, I just had to touch on this before I forget. We get into the movie early. Doesn't matter really, other than just being able to sit and chill. Because you pay for your exact seat. You know what I mean? So we get in the movie early. We're sitting down in our seats, and I hear his Hispanic grandma, and I think her daughter, and then her daughter's son, and then Hispanic grandma with her daughter or her son, and then the spouse, right, and then the kid, and I can hear this Hispanic grandma saying like. Essentially, I can't remember exactly how it is in Spanish, it's like, but she's like, "¿Qué pasa, Paul Atreides?" like he's like, and then the son is explaining, like either her son-in-law or her son is explaining to her and his wife which one Paul Atreides is,
right? Who's who,
and
what's going on.
Like catching them up on everything before the movie starts. And it was funny because he'd answer in English and all of her questions were in Spanish, but all of the Dune characters, she's like. ¿Dónde está? Not ¿dónde está? What's where? Or where is? ¿Dónde? No, I can't remember. But she was just like, whatever. Imagine ¿dónde está is where is. I know it's that. And that's how you're doing. But like, she's like, ¿Dónde está Duncan, Idaho? And like, like I hear him behind us. She's like, oh, he died. But like Billie Jean was like, I just remember she was like, so is Atreides the good guy in this movie, right? Atreides was the hero, and I was like, Atreides? Like the house Atreides, you mean? like Paul is a single person. Like, I was totally like being a nerd. But the fact that like she didn't remember much of the first movie and really enjoyed this one.
Mm-hmm.
And so much so that I think she wanted to watch it again even.
Yeah.
Like that is a huge success for a movie that has so much lore to try to make sense and not like seem like a fever dream,
Right.
and make it approachable to like your normal audience. Like this is a movie that I'm like, I think my mom could watch it and still enjoy it. And
Right.
she doesn't get into sci-fi fantasy really at all.
Right.
You know, Star Wars is like sometimes a little, she liked it as a kid. She loved seeing Star Wars.
But she's not on Wikipedia
No,
figuring
dude.
out, like what crystal
She's-
makes what lightsaber.
She's not about to like throw down over like which Jedi beat which Sith Lord.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I have a confession to make. I thought I had watched Dune 1. I think I only watched half of Dune 1 and fell asleep.
Really?
Yeah, because I sat down to do a quick Dune. I was like I started watching Dune 2 and I was like,
Don't they stop?
yeah.
Duncan, Idaho?
and
And you didn't know?
And I was like, pause, YouTube, Dune recap.
Yeah.
And like halfway through the recap, I was like, yep. And then like at 50% done of the recap, I was like,
Wait,
nope, don't remember that. I don't remember that knife fight scene at all. I don't remember any fight scenes actually. Like besides the beginning, I was like, oh, I only watched half of Dune 1. So I have to go back now and I have to go watch Dune 1.
Dune 1, it was like the last half of it is the best part.
Exactly. Which is also why I maybe wasn't so pumped on. Everybody's like, Dune's so awesome. And I'm like, it was just kind of a slow desert movie. I don't know what's going on.
Wow.
Like Spider-Man got his girlfriend stolen and I don't know what else is happening. But, it's like, I was like, I don't know. So anyways, I discovered that. So now I'm excited to go back and watch the movie and then probably watch it again. I'm gonna watch both with my wife because
Maker.
I am going to, and that's why also I watched Dune 1 on my cell phone in bed because it's such a long, big movie. I was like, long, big movies, I don't go watch by myself downstairs. It's like usually like that's when we're hanging out or watching TV shows, and so I messed up bad and big. And
what's funny to me is that your wife clearly already has a predisposition to it. Because Billie Jean took a B-reel of me today wearing my poncho up over my head, and I had earpiece com in my nose with the cable going around my ear.
Yeah.
And I was doing my best like Sildar wide eyes in the sun.
Yeah.
And I was just she just took a B-reel of me going, Lisa Nagai. We had to do it 9 times because it's really hard to get B-reel to do a recording.
Oh yeah.
But your wife, Mace Windu, responded with a laugh emoji.
No.
In fact, every girl responded with a laugh emoji. Just shows you like white chicks get Dune.
Hey, there you go.
Basic white girls love these are girls who love Taylor Swift. They also seem to love Dune.
Yep. I think I need to watch it with my wife. I need to watch both of them. Another thing before we hop into really breaking this thing down, as we're talking about how awesome it is to watch in the theater. What's the deal with the popcorn bucket?
Yeah.
I mean, but for real.
Yeah.
And
no, dude, I don't know if they did, bro. That seems to be like something that like
No, I think it was a miss. But it's been defiled.
Oh yeah.
Like it was not just a joke.
Yeah.
Like
someone took that thing home and put a how can I say this without saying the actual terminology?
Prophylactic.
No, prophylactic is not. What's a prophylactic? That's what you take to get an erection, right?
Prophylactics to not have a rubber.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. No, I'm trying to say a what's another word for pocket?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A replica of a female reproduction part is definitely been used with that popcorn bucket.
Yeah.
Which also just a very poorly designed popcorn bucket. I don't know if you saw
Buttery
the video.
hands, dude.
Well, no, did you see the
horrible.
video of like people? The idea was the little needle teeth of the worm would brush the butter off, but
brush it off.
Yeah, like you reach in, you grab the popcorn,
And
you get your fist around in there,
yeah.
and then as you're pulling out, the little needle teeth are rubbing against your hand and brushing the buttery off. the butter and salt off.
It's
But,
not.
like-
It's not like a solid that brushes. It's not like crumbs. It's like just smearing the butter. It's
But-
really good at smearing the butter.
Yeah, no kidding. But like, I also saw that like most men
Yeah.
that are like, taller than a child
Mhm.
that have like a developed normal sized fist.
Can't get your hand out.
Yeah,
with
you
the
grab
popcorn.
popcorn and the mouth is too small to get the hand out.
You're like a monkey in the jungle being
Yeah.
being trapped by some aboriginals. Like
you can't say aboriginals. Oh, dude, you can't say aboriginals. You
Just
have to say, what are they really called, Pat?
they're called people. They're
Okay, you're right.
humans.
They are humans. They're people.
And they're hunting monkeys, and the monkey puts his hand around the banana, and he can't get it out,
Mhm.
and he gets killed. But if you don't know what we're talking about, Google Dune popcorn
Google
bucket.
aboriginals.
Yeah, Google Dune popcorn bucket.
It's pretty crazy.
And you'll be like, oh my god.
It was a meme that immediately, as soon as that was announced, people were like, I'm going to put my wiener in that. And
Exactly.
oh man, dude. I was also just like, can you imagine having that, holding on to it, forgetting that it's somewhere, and then like your child finds that one day, and you
Right.
got to explain that to your son, like why you kept that.
Yeah,
Like,
they'd
oh,
be
it's a souvenir of a movie. It's
Yeah.
a very important movie. And like when he goes to look it up, it's just going to be all of the memes of people boning it.
Oh my god. Yep. So, anyways, the
Pretty
movie,
funny.
directed by Dennis
Villeneuve.
but he did Dune 1, and
He
then he
did
did
Blade Runner
Blade
2049.
Runner. So he's
It was a baller movie.
he's hit some big ones. And
I guess his name is Denis.
Denis, huh?
Denis
Is he
Villeneuve.
French?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I think he's French.
But he is, as a director, I'd expect to keep seeing stuff from him. To throw out movies this big. And like, I think, there's always, I feel like back during blockbuster movies, there was like really like a handful of directors. Now there were a ton of directors out there all the time, but like compared to the blockbuster world now with the Netflix streaming Prime world,
Mhm.
like there's so many people getting shots at pretty big productions.
Oh,
And-
hold on. Let me just also say this.
Yeah.
For anyone who's like, I'm not into sci-fi. This guy made Sicario.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like if you're like anyone else who usually listens to this podcast and loves Sicario, then you should watch Dune.
Yeah, and I think it's not too sci-fi of a movie. It is sci-fi, but it's just a good movie.
It's a messianic romance story.
Exactly. And I think this guy's going to keep showing up for more stuff. He's been around for a while now, like Sicario and things like that being, it's about 10 years old now, but this guy could be someone who really does make a bigger mark than I think what I'm saying is I think lots of directors go unknown. Like if I say Steven Spielberg, you know who that is.
You know
right?
why you know who that is? Jurassic Park and Schindler's List were made in 1 year.
Right. Like,
And he did them both.
yeah, just big fat movies
Yeah.
that everybody's seen.
That's why you know. Because he made those 2 movies in a single year and it blew everyone's mind. Created the blockbuster.
Exactly. And so I think that, this guy is not a Spielberg necessarily, but like, the way people throw around names like Michael Bay, whatever, like he has opportunity now to do all sorts of stuff. And he's, planning on, I think he's doing the 3rd one,
Oh, yeah.
so that is, but he's impressive in his direction of this. And then, this cast was huge.
Massive
As
cast.
far as like, and so, we have like the leads, really the supporting cast were all stars.
Mhm.
Like there were a lot of like Oscar nominee people in here. Timothy Chalamet, what has he been in other than Dune? What's his?
So one of the ones that I like him the most in is The King. And that's where he plays like the English king who has to go to France, and it's like a actual timepiece dramatization. But essentially, he goes to France and he fights Edward. What's his last name?
Cullen.
He was the vampire in Twilight.
Edward Cullen.
Oh, was that his name in Twilight?
That's his name in Twilight.
Damn,
No,
bro.
I was making a
Robert
Twilight
Pattinson.
joke. Okay,
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson. I was making
Yeah,
a
no.
joke.
Which I thought was hilarious because Timothy Chalamet is he's French originally, French Canadian, I believe, and Robert Pattinson's English. But then Timothy Chalamet is playing an English king that has to go and fight a French king.
Mm.
And it was pretty funny. It's a great movie though, because it's a very accurate dramatization of what really the it was one of the wars between England and France. He was in Wonka. Didn't see it.
Apparently, he's Willy Wonka, which I don't know if has anybody seen Willy Wonka.
No. He was in the movie Hostiles, and I remember he lived quite a while in that movie before he got iced. Hostiles though, great movie. And that was like before he was known to anybody. Call Me by Your Name was popular because it was like a teenage gay drama. He was in another one recently though about cannibalism. He was in Interstellar. I'm trying to. Oh yeah, he was in the TV show Homeland. He was the spoiled brat son of the president. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. What was this? What was it called? There was one. There was a cannibal one where. Oh, Bones and All. Yeah, dude. Ooh, pretty creepy.
Really?
Yeah, that was like a very unsettling romance one, but it was pretty good. And then he was in Don't Look Up too, which was a pretty decent movie.
But this is definitely his
magnum opus.
Yep, his big time deal.
Yeah.
Other people got Zendaya. Everybody who doesn't love Zendaya, she's been all over the place over the last.
Here's my thing.
But here,
I'll be honest. Yeah, I got nothing against her.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the writing. I felt like she was the weakest actress in this movie. And I felt like it might have just been because they didn't like she could only be disgruntled non-believer so many times before it's like, okay, so this is the one thing that she's like, this is the one thing she does in the movie is be a disgruntled non-believer. I've seen clips of her from the show that she was really like kicked off her career. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was an HBO show. Euphoria,
yeah.
And then I think she's a great actress in the Spider-Man movies. But I personally was like, and I remember walking out and I was like, and Billie Jean defended her. To my wife's credit, my wife defended her, right? But I was just like, I just really kind of thought she came off kind of repetitively naggy, whiny by like halfway through the movie. I was like, are they going to give her any character development?
Because they didn't give her anything to make her justify and redeem her nagginess.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, you're right. Like Paul was going to end up becoming emperor and take empress, and you're not his empress, honey. And you either get to be a concubine or not. And like, it's just one of those things where it was like, I think that is more writing less Zendaya as an actress. You know what I mean? It just, I think they just didn't, because they also changed it from the book. Like in the book, she has a journey of faith where she comes to believe. At least is what I've been told. I haven't read the book. She also was a much smaller character in the book. So they made her a pretty big role in the movie. So maybe there just wasn't enough to fill out that role from the source material. You know what I mean?
Yep. I agree. And then like the supporting cast is where all the big dogs really are.
Javier Bardem, Rebecca Ferguson, which my wife knows. Rebecca Ferguson, I just think is so beautiful. I think it's just because she's like the most Irish looking woman I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Josh Brolin, Austin Butler, it's like so stacked. Like it's crazy when you think like Dave Bautista basically as the equivalent of a cameo because of how stacked this cast is with like all these other people in it. I thought his character also just like Beast Radon or whatever his name, Beast. I know it's not Radon, that's from Elden Ring, but that's all I can remember it as. Beast Rabban. It's kind of like a total puss. Like just gets absolutely like crapped on. He's never winning.
Yeah.
And then Gurney just ices him. Gets like his vengeance.
I thought that was a great scene.
That was an excellent scene.
That was a great fight scene to just have it be short.
Yeah.
He just
and Billie Jean said the same thing. She was like, I liked that. Like I liked that the the very intense standoff dance scene was the final fight scene. Yeah. And that when it came to like, this is war. We are not going to take time to have like, hey, circle up boys, cheer us on. It's like, this is war. I need to move through you.
Yep.
I don't have time for any talk. And it
Uh-huh.
was like what, 2 moves?
Yeah.
It like I can't remember what was the finishing move. Was it brachial artery?
Just straighten the neck. Just
Straighten the neck.
Straighten the soft bottom of the below the Adam's apple.
Yeah.
And because too, yeah, and they do this in the final big fight scene, but like, because you got to have your guy get knocked down. Maybe he's not going to make it.
But he gets up again.
He gets up again. But no, this is just
He gets knocked down, but he gets up again.
Yeah, Chumbawamba. But Josh Brolin just like up to just knife in the neck because, and I wonder if they had this in the back of their mind too. One of the greatest fight scenes of all time is in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
And all it is this guy, this big scary dude, similar to Dave Bautista, gets out a big old
Scimitar,
and he's waving it around, and just kind of like how Bautista's whip was a little, this like ominous weapon, and then, Indy just pulls out his gun and shoots him. It's just like it's one of the most iconic fight scenes of all time, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And
my favorite is how like overused that the real trivia behind that thing is that it's now a meme on the internet.
Right.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I
Where,
wasn't
like,
even
people
going
will
to say it
okay.
because
I don't want to say it.
No, like we'll say it now, but like I wasn't going to say it as if I was adding knowledge to people.
I just love it's gotten to the point where people just say this trivia fact randomly in YouTube comments.
Right.
That's how funny it is. But like, did you know that scene was a result of Harrison Ford having bad diarrhea and being exhausted?
Mhm.
There we go. All right. I just had to say it.
Here's a even further people may not know is that tons of the cast and crew was wiped from a bad meal.
Oh, really?
Like it wasn't just they were like
it wasn't just him.
because who's the guy? His
Steven Spielberg,
Steven Spielberg,
George Lucas.
but that his sidekick,
Oh,
but the big guy.
Dr. Jones.
no, the
Oh,
big
the other
Arab,
one.
the big Arab guy.
Yeah.
His name.
He's not actually Arab though.
Yeah, but he has the
Gimli. His name's Gimli.
Yeah, Gimli, one of the greatest voices of all time. And he talks about he thought like he was gonna die. Like,
John Rice Davis.
Yeah, John Rice Davis. He talks about a story about how this nurse came in to
bad dates.
Yeah, bad dates. And this nurse came in and just left because of he's like I had just like ruined my room so disgustingly. A nurse came in and just left me there. But anyways, so yeah, I think that was a well done fight scene. I just liked it. It was just great. You just took him out because too from the first movie. I mean, Josh Brolin's character Gurney was on a mission. Like his only real mission in life, besides supporting Paul,
Protect the Atreides,
was mostly though a mission of vengeance. He was like because it was Bautista's character is the guy who killed Paul's dad, right? He was the one.
Kind of technically.
Right.
I mean, he helped do it,
right? Yeah, I mean, he was. Yeah, so he was there. So he was just like on a mission to just avenge his king, right?
Yeah, no, it was great, and that's like the other thing. One of the biggest changes from the book is that in the books, Paul doesn't let. Why am I forgetting his name? G. Gurney. All I could think of was Gunnery.
It's a weird name.
I'm dyslexic. But he doesn't let Gurney get revenge. He tells him to stand down, and then he kills Beast Rabba.
He takes the
Yeah. So it was kind of cool that Denis Villeneuve was like, nah, man, we all want to see it. Let's give the people what they want.
And like, I don't know, but like when Timothée Chalamet is like, 50 years old, I wonder what he's going to look like. Just comparatively to like Brolin. What a beast, man.
Seriously.
And I know, like in the world of like toxic masculinity being a horrible thing, I'm just like
whatever.
But Brolin is just
He's
man.
hot.
He's a man's man. Just
look. I'll be, not what's the term? I won't be homophobic and afraid to call another man hot. But you got to accept that I'm calling him hot because he's a toxically masculine. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but we were talking about offline, but like. Both him and Javier Bardem, they almost look younger in this movie. And I get like they're not. I get like there's wrinkles and stuff like that. And, their skin's a little bit more aged. But to me, they almost look more, maybe it's also the way they move seems more youthful than when they were countering each other in No Country for Old Men, which I see that movie and I watch that movie about once every couple of years. And it always shocks me like in my mind, I pictured them a lot older as a like from a kid when I first saw that movie.
Right.
And then I watch it, I'm like, wow, dude, like Josh Brolin looks like a freaking baby almost in this movie. But you also see him now and you're like, he still looks really good. Like he still looks very youthful.
Right.
And so anyways, I just thought it was cool also too that like Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin out in the desert, guns, and they get to be buddies this time.
Yeah.
And they both live to the end.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
And
Like I just thought it was so wholesome. And they talk about it behind the scenes. I don't know if you've seen any behind the scene interviews, but they were just like, they just teased each other. They were constantly teasing each other, but you could tell they're like actually really good buddies from when they shot that movie.
Because also, how fun is it to be an A-list elite actor and not be the star?
I bet it's
You know
way
what I
more
mean?
fun.
Like, you're
I
just
bet
like-
it's 10 times more fun.
like the pressures, like you know, the other people got to carry this thing, right? And they just had to show up and do their thing, and have fun, do it, and they're already like they're professionals. They can do it in their sleep at this point. Like you just show up, dress up all fun, and do your thing, and then like they say cut, you go back and you're just hanging out. Like I feel like it's like it's a good old time. Like it's like a well earned spot to be in, just to be like, yeah, we're having fun here. And like these two for these two guys, like No Country for Old Men came out in like 2009, like
6.
It's
7.
so like it's like so like this much further down the road now, like where they're able to just like just a honed craft, and they're just they've had a friendship for a long time. They just have a good old time.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
I do love that stuff. Like, it's kind of like the Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey effect.
Right.
Like you could tell like their filmography of when they've gotten to kind of be on set together, and you could tell like they're really good buds.
Right.
And like that's kind of the same thing with these two.
And like they're not trying.
Yeah, it's very authentic.
Right. Yeah. It's good.
Anyways, spoilers.
Yeah.
All right. So the whole plot, revolves around that there's this group of women, an organization. Perhaps you could say not a religion, but a sect of a societal organization known as the Bene Gesserit, who, whether or not the rest of the world is in on it, it's not entirely clear to me, or the rest of the galaxy. But the Bene Gesserit is clearly pulling strings in order to be the concubines of many of the, like the Emperor, the Baron, the Duke, all these different houses, so that they can get pregnant and then eventually mix all these bloodlines to create what is the ideal superhuman.
Right.
And in doing so, though, they plant these seeds through... like, and essentially it's like, it's not necessarily like, magic when I say this. Like, this is literally like, as best I understand from the movie and the story, through generations of selective breeding and mixing bloodlines and just millennias of mankind being out in the stars, they've literally genetically selected and reproduced individuals who are capable of telepathy, capable of like psychic command, like we see Paul Atreides do, and use the voice.
Right.
And so like they use those abilities to plant the seeds of prophecy.
Right.
And they've been writing this prophecy of who the Messiah is going to be for, I don't know, I can't remember if it specifies, but I believe over 1,000 years. And they've been planting it in these people on Arrakis to have an expectation of a savior that will come. And the idea is that they genetically selected over generations to have this perfect Paul Atreides to fulfill the prophecy. And his mother would also be one of the Bene Gesserit concubines to help guide the prophecy. And so it's like,
because it's almost like a Freemason society type thing going on, with also a nunnery, but the opposite of nuns not doing it, meaning like they're grown up, like they
do it a lot.
They do it to then like have like they're trained up and then sent out, and then
they're trained in seduction,
selectively select somebody and then have a kid with them. And so it's a very like secret society, huge conspiracy theory type thing behind them as far as like
Not even a conspiracy though. It's happening.
Right. But like a conspiracy to manipulate and synthesize
a Messiah. Yeah.
Right.
And to like, it's all about like at the end of the day, what's the reason for the Bene Gesserit to just have ultimate control?
To have control. Yeah.
Like, so that like the Emperor, and I think we see it really clearly in this movie, the Emperor has no control.
Right.
Like between like the Bene Gesserit at the Emperor's side literally told him, we find out, to destroy House Atreides.
Right.
Which is like, and he would have never done it if she hadn't told him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like one of those things that you realize like the Bene Gesserit made up this whole prophecy. They made the whole thing up, planted it thousands of years ago through, telepathy and manipulation in the minds of, I can't remember, what do they call them? The people of Arrakis? Do they have a specific? The Fremen, yeah. And the Fremen over time and time have passed down the story of who the Messiah will be. And of course, the Bene Gesserit have been creating this Messiah. And so we see Paul Atreides and his mother in the beginning of this movie, both on the same page. She is there to help him and guide him as he to fulfill these fake messianic prophecies that he is supposed to fulfill in order to gain the loyalty of the Fremen.
Mm-hmm.
But what was very interesting to me was that in the, I knew from the books, from like what my friends had told me and such, that Paul would become like, he lets it get to his head in the books, and he believes maybe I am a Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is beyond manipulation and this is true divine destiny.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, it flips and we see Jessica after she takes on all the memories of the mother.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what they called her, but she was a specific
the Reverend Mother.
Yeah, the Reverend Mother. She believes like, oh no, this is not a false prophecy. This is,
it's almost like manifestation.
Yeah, this is real.
Like the thing even though they've been synthesizing to a Messiah.
Yeah.
Now this is actually the real deal.
Yeah, and like she truly believes Paul is a Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
And like we see that consistently throughout the rest of the movie and everything she does. Like Rebecca Ferguson's character never once compromises on like the faith that Paul is a Messiah after that.
Right.
Paul takes a long time, but also when we see Paul drink the waters of life,
Mm-hmm.
he goes into a coma, pretty much claimed to be dead, and then he resurrects from that due to the tears mixed with the waters of life.
Mm-hmm.
Tears of Shawnee crying over his death. And as he comes back, he is fully like, nope, I am the Messiah. And like before that,
Mm-hmm.
he was like, this is something I got to do just to fulfill it. So these people follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't do it, then like they shouldn't follow me anyways. Cause then it is a sham. If I'm not
Mm-hmm.
willing to do this and go this far, I'm not a leader worthy of their loyalty.
Right.
And then it's after that he like, he's like,
Yeah.
no, I am God. I am the
Right.
Messiah.
Mm-hmm. And I can't tell though if he believes he is that
I think
in a divine sense, or if he is like feels that he can be that. Does that make sense?
I think he believes it because of the visions he's had.
Mm-hmm.
He had the visions of his sister growing up
Mm-hmm.
on an Arrakis with an ocean.
And
I think he like legitimately believes like, oh, it's not just me following a prefabricated story.
right.
I really will deliver this.
Mm-hmm.
And they just need to listen.
Right.
Which is like, what's the difference at that point?
Right.
Well, that's the real question, right?
Right.
Is like, if the prophecy is that you will save us and deliver us,
Mm-hmm.
and the person who will do that meets XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
and then someone comes along and makes XYZ, they fabricated the whole story, and they're meeting XYZ because they fabricated it.
Right.
But if they really do save you and deliver you
Yeah.
and end the conflict,
Right.
whatever conflict is,
Then they are
that's
that.
messianic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that
Right.
is. So what's the point?
Exactly.
Like there's no. Is it really fabricated or not? I get it's true. That is what a Messiah does.
Right. And I my thing is I couldn't figure out while watching it if I was supposed to be a believer or not.
Yeah, that was
Like-
the other thing. I was on the fence the whole time. I was like, yeah, this is such a scam, and they're totally pulling the wool over these people. But like,
Mhm.
also it's kind of a good thing because they are here to help them, and like Paul's clearly cares about them,
and has in a sense supernatural ability.
Oh yeah,
Like even from the first movie, you know, he's like
voice.
He clearly has these abilities other people doesn't have, and has, you know, a uniqueness other people don't have, and is positioned with authority that other people don't have. And so, you know, and that's why I love Javier Bardem's character is maybe my favorite character in the whole movie. Stilgar. He's just a like faithful believer, and
To the end.
and not without action, or not without like not one who sits by idly like waiting to be saved.
But he's also like, to be fair, he's also like a classical not objectionist, it's the term for when someone incorporates a conflict to the faith to justify the faith. I'm trying to remember, but remember where like Paul denies he's the Messiah, and like Stilgar's first reaction is like, it is said he will be humble, more humble than anyone.
Right.
This is him demonstrating his humility. And then he picks like Lisan al-Gaib, the desert mouse, to be his name. And is like, what a truly humble yet noble name.
Right.
It's like no matter what, if as long as he didn't outright contradict entirely like the faith, like and commit like sacrilege, no matter what, Stilgar was going to justify it. You know, he was always going to justify everything, regardless of the contradictory.
Right, because if you have a complicated enough theology, you can always tie something to it, right? In that sense. So, there is that, and like but just something about his faithfulness and his conviction to it. He's not a faker. Like he is.
He's sold out.
He is a true believer.
Yeah.
And funny because the term true believer is a dangerous term because it's weaponized and or routinely associated with radicalized individuals and closed-mindedness.
Yeah.
But there's something I find value in someone who also is like true believer to their conviction and to their they are who they are. And so I think that his character and Josh Brolin's character Gurney are in direct opposition to this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, their end result and end goal, because they are the same. Like it's too.
Did you see my thing here about loyalty, fealty versus faith?
No.
And like, what's the difference?
No.
So I have a little note here, but like, I don't have a conclusion on it. But that was what I saw it as. Is like, you have Gurney, who is just as loyal as Stilgar is faithful.
Right.
But in the end, the manifestation is the same.
Right.
Like the manifestation of that loyalty and the manifestation of that faithfulness is the same same thing out of both of their characters.
Right.
That like no matter what Paul did, Gurney would die for him. Same with Stilgar.
Right.
You know, it's one of those things of like I don't have an answer. What is the difference between loyalty and faith? I don't think Gurney certainly did not believe Paul was the Messiah.
Right.
He was in on it.
Right.
He was in on like, this is arranged.
Right.
But this is my king.
Right. And I feel like in my own like faith walk or as a person of faith.
Yeah.
These two things we're talking about are something that I actually pendulum between.
Loyalty to God versus faith.
And rely on.
When your faith is weak, your loyalty kicks in.
Yeah.
And when your loyalty is weak, your faith kicks in.
Yeah.
Father God, I failed to adhere.
Yeah.
But I have faith that you'll forgive me.
Yeah.
Father God, I just don't know what your plan is or if I believe in it, but I will remain loyal, and stick with the hard road.
Yeah. And that's
probably the truth, dude.
I mean, that's like, because I feel like we're getting off a movie review here a little bit, but I feel like
I think that's what we see now.
Yeah, and that's what, and because I feel like this is usually in the shower for me. It's like
usually while about a walk,
right? And I'm just like,
it's the journey between the car and the front door.
Yeah, and so and good movies, good stories. I feel like always, in my personal opinion, the things, the pieces and things we love about movies and good story, I think actually speak to a deeper thing in us, and then also speak to, I think, to the story of Christ, which you could say that also maybe the story of Christ just appeals to us because there's something in us.
Oh, maybe we're made in the image of God.
Right. Or
okay.
I'm saying in to argue against, like,
the image of God.
Right, to be like, oh no, like the Jesus story is just the same thing as a good movie. That's why it appeals to you. I see that too. And that's why
the hero's journey.
And that's what I'm saying too, between loyalty and faith. I'm just like, all right, like I use them both in my own life.
Yeah.
And so these two characters are like the embodiment of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I believe that, dude. I see you got a note though just about is Jessica good?
Yeah, because it's
hard to tell, bro.
Is she just a jealous mother?
I'll tell you, when she started talking to her tummy, I was like, this is some
Yeah.
she's psychotic.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's happening. But then because if I'm remembering right in the movie, in the beginning, she's talking to her stomach. By the end, she's having a conversation with her stomach. Is the voice always in the tummy at the beginning?
Yeah.
Or is it just in the end?
So the whole idea, another change from the book, like the pregnancy is rapidly shortened after she drinks the water of life. Because they didn't think she was pregnant when she took it. When she does, her and the baby both receive all of the memories of all of the Reverend Mothers. And so that baby comes out very quickly and ages rather quickly and has the ability to talk at like 1 year old in complete senses.
Reverse Benjamin Button.
Exactly. Like she's just as wise as Rebecca Ferguson's character Jessica. Like and so like it's kind of one of those things of like, if you just received every single memory of every U.S. president, and so did your son, and you were the only two with all of that information of everything they were told, everything they lied about, whatever, you're probably just going to talk to each other. Right? You're like, there's no one else you're going to talk to.
Yeah.
And like, and so that's kind of like that concept I see here, right? And so it's one of those things of like, the conversations though she has internally are questionably moral. You know what I mean? Like some of the things her and her unborn daughter discuss are like, is she good? Are they good? Do they have our best interests at heart? Right.
And like, is she just like, there's a classic character archetype, which is just a jealous mom who's, my son is the greatest. I will lie for him. I will, we see this all the time where it's like this, like the mom who will literally do anything for her son, be it over into dark evil things, over into great sacrifice things, right? Like I'll do anything for my son. And so is that her? Because I never get a goodness from her character,
Yeah, I get a like believerness,
right?
Like the radical believer.
Right.
By the end of the movie, I'm like, that's the difference between her and Stilgar. Stilgar, 100% faith. Her, radicalized,
right?
Like happy to use the family nukes if need be,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
But okay. The lore stuff, the world stuff, I just want to talk about it briefly and just kind of again also question, worm travel is sick. I loved the idea of like, the only way we can get through the what's the term for gosh, dude, people are gonna think I'm dumb because I'm forgetting all these terminology. I'm just exhausted, but the equator. The equator on Arrakis just has this permanent massive storm. And like the only way to go to the southern hemisphere, the southern tribes of the Fremen, is just riding a worm.
Yeah.
I just thought that was sick.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool of like worm train.
Yeah.
And everyone's just riding on the back of the worm. I thought that was pretty cool. And the visual storytelling of like how they're showing how to ride a worm and drive it. And never did they ever have dialogue explaining what to do. It gets to the scene where Paul is learning how to do it, and then the next scene of like him getting his own worm and riding it, and like the visual storytelling of the scales, pores, whatever you want to call them, orifices, open up, and as they are pulled and opened, and sand blows into them, that makes the worm pull in that direction. And like I immediately knew within a minute everything I needed to know about how they controlled these worms.
Right.
And and it was all visual biological.
Yep.
And it was like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
all right.
show, not
like
tell.
no plot hole.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's something in the heart of mankind too that just gets ramped up about people riding
Big shit.
a wild steed.
Yeah, it's the Moby Dick fantasy.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
this big thing that I beat.
Yeah, or like the stallion
Mm-hmm.
that's untamed and the hero's on that thing now.
Oh, yeah.
Heading to rescue. Like it just has those vibes. I will say my maybe one like critique would be like we never saw them dismount a worm.
It's true. How do you pump the brakes?
How do you get
How
off
do you
of
break
the worm?
that shit?
How do you get off the worm?
I think, you know what I think it is?
Huh.
I think it's exactly like the conveyor belts at the airport.
Yeah.
Like you just are like standing on it, and then as it comes to an end, you just do that big step off.
The big step.
And then like, everyone's like, all right, everybody stand up. And as the worm starts like curving down
Right.
into the earth, you just big step off and
Right.
like
And
and kind of run it out.
Yeah, because it's the how does I understand how one athletic individual gets on the worm. I don't understand how you get a tent full of people on a worm
Mm-hmm.
or how you get off a worm. And I don't care, like for the sake of the movie. But
Yeah.
I just was kind of like,
Good point.
like how do you not end up down in the sand,
It's true.
down
how do you,
there,
Like, how do you just not end up like skipping across the sand like a stone?
right? Or like being carried into the depth.
Yeah.
I don't, or maybe I guess as because the sand is like moving through the mouth of the worm.
I think it filters through it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's how and so then I guess just as it enters down into the ground, the sand on the top of the worm is coming up. And that's why the Fremen always come up out of the sand, maybe, because they just like got done riding the worm. Now they're buried like only 2 feet and they just pop out. I don't know. But anyways, the worm riding was, and from a cinematic aspect, was just cool to watch.
It was sick. And
Yeah.
like you said, dude, when those 3 worms come out of the smoke,
Mm-hmm.
that was baller.
Oh, yeah.
That was insane.
There was a couple scenes in this movie that made me think I'm going to get a print of that in a huge wall-sized poster.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 worms coming out were definitely one.
Mm-hmm.
The scene where, and we haven't even talked about the 2 big bad guys, right?
Yeah.
But the, what's his name? Oh,
Fade Rotha.
Fade Rotha. When Fade Rotha and Paul are crossing swords,
Mhm.
there's like this super widescreen shot of them silhouetted crossing knives.
Yeah,
and, this
and the
sun
Dune in the background.
Dune in the background. Like
Yeah.
that's one. And then
That one was one that I saw. I was like, how did they make that look so clean?
yeah, it was very.
I 100% believe that is on another planet, and that is the background of another planet. You know what I mean?
Right. And then there was lots of other things throughout the whole movie where I was like, I want to make that into a poster.
I think a big one for me, and I'm happy you mentioned that, because I was like, I could watch a whole movie on the Harkonnen homeworld. I could watch a whole movie takes place on a planet with a black sun,
Right.
and everything is that like grayscale color, because that was awesome. I thought those visuals were insane. And, excuse me, I got yawn hiccups all of a sudden. I thought just immediately recognizing, like, first firework goes off, and I'm like, what's that inky smoke? And I was like, well, actually, I guess that makes sense. If this is the type of light your star is making, you wouldn't have fireworks because you wouldn't be able to see them.
Right.
So you'd have a negative.
Splotch works.
Yeah. And I was like, that's sick as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that whole planet. I was like, I could watch a full movie. Like, I could watch a whole 90 minutes to, hour and a half. Well, wait, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
I could watch a whole 90 minutes to 2 hours taking place on like a story on the Harkonnen planet, right? Where it's just that kind of aesthetic, which was also just excellently done. Like, if you watch Sin City, you can tell like this is a lot of post filming effects done to make this black and white and CGI look good. And you can even, like, with that black and white, you can clearly tell in a movie like Sin City, like, what is CGI. Whereas, like, again, dude, like, the set pieces, the Colosseum on that planet did not look CGI to me.
Right.
Which I just thought was another, like, pretty impressive thing.
Yeah. One critique in that area for me was, and maybe throughout, this is hard with sci-fi because there is the foundation of all sci-fi is Star Wars.
Yeah.
But like they had like a Jabba the Hutt announcer as the essentially Jabba the Hutt character was being rolled out. You know, who's the fat man? The
Baron Harkonnen.
Baron Harkonnen. Yeah, like it was just funny. It was like, just use a different voice.
Yeah.
It was too Jabba. Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, exactly. I was like, all right, just like back off the Star Wars or do your own thing. But
hey, to be fair,
mhm.
Star Wars was based off of Dune.
I guess, yeah.
To be true.
Yeah, for book-wise, the book came out before.
Well,
Yeah.
like George Lucas said, like,
Right,
I wanted to do Dune, but like a little bit lighter.
right. So there's a good point. Good point there. So they're allowed to rip from it some.
Someone in their car listening to this is like, thank you. I've been telling people that for years.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, all right. Here's my concern though. Here's my
Uh-huh.
plot hole.
Hmm.
The worms drown in water. That's what we see revealed with the young worm when they get the water of life out of it.
Right.
Paul has visions of his grown sister Aaliyah on Arrakis / Dune
Mm-hmm.
with oceans,
Mm-hmm.
which means the worms are drowned. The oceans would kill the worms, which means the spice trade is done,
Mm-hmm.
which means for a lot of people who don't know, it's like not very expressly stated, but the way they travel through space is with like uber spiced up people.
Mm-hmm.
People so spiced up they can literally plot points
Mm-hmm.
through space for faster than light travel.
Is the spice also used as like fuel, or is it just for the
I don't know.
calculators?
I think it's
Yeah.
just for the calculators.
Okay.
But so without spice, there'd be no space travel
Mm-hmm.
unless, you had worms moved on to another planet to make spice again,
Right.
which would take thousands of years. So like for me, I'm just like thinking of that. And I'm like, that's got to be something they didn't overlook. Like that's got to be incorporated somehow
Right.
into the plans of this story. Again, I haven't read all the books or anything,
Right.
so it's hard for me to know, like, is that truly the end vision?
Mhm.
Like, eliminate the worms, eliminate the spice, eliminate war.
right.
I don't know.
If it's it's basically like just like a parallel theme here would be a sandy place
Mm-hmm.
with a highly lucrative substance in
Hmm.
the ground
Hmm.
that imperialistic countries
That allows them to travel
Well-
to the place.
imperialistic countries will
Yes.
kill and war over in order to fuel their endeavors.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Dune is an allegory to
Yeah. with
the war over oil in the
Yeah.
Middle East.
with individuals who subscribe to a very intense religion
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
things, right? So anyways, with all that being said, would, from the Fremen perspective, the aboriginals of the planet,
Can't say that.
would the end goal to be to just go back to like not having space travel and just having their own thing going on,
I think it would.
right?
I think they only know the worms, but I think they'd accept that in order to get their planet and freedom back,
Mm-hmm.
the worms would die out.
Because are Fremen interested in space travel?
I don't think
Are
so.
they interested in having a Nalgene?
I mean, at the end of the
full
book,
of
they're like,
water? They do.
let's go to space.
Yeah, they do space travel at that
Mount
point.
up.
Yeah, they do take the offensive at that point. But it's like I think they'd be more interested in like a cup full of water than space travel. So
Which also the first movie ends. The whole ending of the first movie is like after Paul kills Freyd Rotha. Literal thunderstorms, clouds start, like thunder and lightning, and rain falls from the sky. And that's the ending of the.
Or you mean Janus or whatever?
Huh?
You said Freyd Rotha. Isn't that the guy he just killed?
Yeah, in the end of the first movie, like
Yeah.
the first original movie,
Oh,
like the Frank Herbert movie,
the
like,
original
yeah,
movie. I thought you
with
were
Kyle
talking
MacLachlan.
about- Okay.
Yeah, he has the fight with Freyd Rotha,
Uh huh.
and once he kills him, literally, it's pretty messianic. Like, I mean, it's like straight out of the Bible, like
Straight out of Lion King
like the stuff. Yeah,
when the
no,
rain comes and restores the wilderness.
not what I mean. I mean, like out of the Bible,
Oh.
the cloth is torn, the
Mhm.
tabernacle is cracked,
Right.
and storms come overhead.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's exactly what's depicted in the Bible when Jesus dies on the cross. It's what happens when Paul kills Freyd Rotha in the first movie, and then rain comes down, and that's how it ends.
Mm.
Of like just this like Arrakis will now have a future of a paradise.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder though, like if that's what, I don't know. Again, like I said, I haven't read any of the books, but that's where I see the plot of like it'll kill all the worms.
That's true.
We talked a lot about these differences. One of the ones that I thought was just the most whack when I read it was Aaliyah, Paul's sister, is born at this point in the books.
Mm-hmm.
She ages really quickly. And she, as a 2-year-old, assassinates Baron Harkonnen with the poison needle, the Gom Jabbar of the Bene Gesserit, and sticks him, and he dies. Which I'm happy they didn't try to make that real.
Like
or
Chucky
serious.
doll?
Yeah.
Like coming
after
after
been
them?
real hard. Would have been real hard to believe that. Chani, we talked about, how she plays a much bigger role, but in the books, she remains loyal to Paul, and even as Paul takes the Empress as his wife, she willingly remains his concubine. And she kind of just becomes like a yes man for him and cheers him on all the time, which is a pretty two-dimensional, I guess, but also not letting her develop into that while having her so staunchly opposed is also kind of two-dimensional.
Right.
I'd be interested to see like if she even gets screen time in the third movie, because they have a child named Leto. And Leto's kind of like a big deal, I guess, in the rest of the books.
And I feel like she doesn't believe him. Even she obviously doesn't believe he's the
Messiah,
the Messiah figure, the Mahdi. But like the scene before the big fight scene where he takes on Freyr Rotha, he does two things that are a big deal. He turns to her and he says, "As long as I breathe, I will love you."
Mm-hmm. Because he knows, bro.
Yeah.
He knows if he wins this,
Mm-hmm.
he ain't gonna see her ass again.
Yeah.
And so, he knows if he loses,
he's dead.
Freaking dead.
Right. So he just tells her, like, as long as I believe, as long as I breathe, I will love you.
Mm-hmm.
And he turns, and then basically the next thing he says is, "Hey, Christopher Walken," which I have something to say about that in a second too. But Christopher Walken, I'll marry your daughter.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, and then he takes on this, crazy, scary, psychopathic villain to fight him. And so the two things that happen is he risks his life as well as pledges himself to marry somebody. But like, she doesn't maybe see the bigger picture, or maybe she does. I don't know. Maybe not giving enough credit, but it's just like, I feel like throughout the whole thing, he is like kind of doing this thing of like, okay, you are the one, but unfortunately, I am God. I have a bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
And like, and so it's like
I think
it doesn't even show like a piece of her being torn. It just shows her at the end just being like,
F it,
just pissed and bitter.
And she's like the only Fremen to stay behind.
That's what I was wondering too. I was like
you're just gonna die on her,
exactly.
on Arrakis.
You're just gonna ride a worm till you die. Like, there's nothing else to do here. So like, that's what my question is, like, since they have strayed so far from the books, for the third part of this, will she be reincorporated? Will there be restoration there? Will she be like an arch enemy? Will she be both?
I mean, they didn't really allude to her being pregnant at all.
Right.
By the end of this book. By the end of this movie.
Besides that intercourse was had.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's all.
But like,
all we
she
know
wasn't
they
showing.
They done did it.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is like by the end of this book, like she's already given birth to Leto. And so like part of me wonders if he's just going to be like, yeah, that's it. She's done. She remained loyal to who she was as a character. And Leto will just be born of Paul and the Empress. I don't know,
And there's 6 main Dune books. There's 23. So there's 6 books made by the original author. There's 23
overall
Dune books overall.
I didn't know that. Holy shit.
So also like
all I know is too is like after like the first book it gets wild.
Right. So like what is
it gets out there.
What's the movie writers and directors plan for like putting a cap on it and or like letting it rest for 10 years? I don't know. But like, because it's such a big story, like where will they compress stuff and where will they like launch it forward and where will they leave stuff out? Because I doubt that they're following book for book.
No way.
Right.
I think they're gonna end it like maybe somewhere after the second book. But even then, the second book is wild from what I understand. Like I heard, spoilers, folks. I heard Paul turns into like a fucking worm human hybrid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
So like he does so much spice, he turns wormy. And like, I was just like, it's pretty intense, dog. Like,
And these books
that's
were,
pretty out. That would be hard to sell to an
Yeah,
audience.
these books were started to be written in the mid 60s through like the,
And Frank
so it's
Herbert
like,
did a shitload of LSD.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Like,
if
a
you're
lot.
if you're not seeing the trend on like some like total like 60s dude writing this thing out.
And like, apparently the whole book is like the spice melange and all that is like allegory to the how like shrooms are like the most essential element of our ecosystem.
Right.
And I'm just like, maybe you only adapted so far. And
Yeah.
you accept that like the rest of it is best left to people who do shrooms, which will never be the majority of the population.
Yeah.
That said though, I see we had a lot of trivia theories here. I was hoping you could kind of get into those and let because you read through a lot of these.
Yeah, no, I think these get into some of the like, these are the trivia here is like more around like actor specific outside of the story stuff. But, from within the movie here, I feel like they've had these, and I haven't looked up if people are upset or happy with the movies, the big Dune fans. Now, of course, you're always going to have people going both ways. But just from like the I feel like they're giving it credit where credit's due on the like the size and scale, the huge casting, the huge production, like the huge cinematic piece, giving a good story, like, and so like there's, while it's straying from probably some of the lore and some of the things, like there really seems to be doing a good job of putting something to film. The only really weird big miss for me is Christopher Walken.
Is the Emperor?
Yeah,
I liked it.
really.
I mean, he had like what 5 lines, so it wasn't like he could mess it up.
Right. Well, but he talked like Christopher Walken.
Did he?
And he would slip in and out of his like full Walken, or like into like and then like be like he'd like slip in.
Oh,
Yeah, like
I'm the Emperor.
Yeah, exactly. Like he would go full Walken and then like into like
Pineapple,
like a regal voice too, but
Arrakis.
exactly. And so Arrakis or whatever. It's like like,
spice melange.
exactly. It was like, I don't know, man. Like it'd be better to have a no-name old man up there. Maybe I don't know.
I liked it. I mean, I didn't like. I guess I didn't like it. I didn't care one way or the other.
Is some of these Reddit posts. One of them goes, "Does Christopher Walken know that he is in a Dune movie?" And then like from there it gets like it just
funny.
goes on from there. Where it's like, so
Were people just roasting it because he like they just felt like he didn't act like they felt like he didn't give it an effort to disguise himself.
So he filmed all of his scenes in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Which this movie took a long time to make. Also, it's like
he's old. So.
well, he's at this point so typecat. Like it's any movie where there's certain people that. So, for instance, the success of something like Star Wars was that like we didn't have a lot of preconceived notions of who those people were. And now you have a big star cast, right? Which is fine. But like Christopher Walken is just so iconic. Like it wasn't Christopher Walken playing the Emperor. It was the Emperor of Dune is Christopher Walken. That's what it does. Right. And so it was just this, for me, like,
I mean, the president of America was Donald Trump. So
yeah. And but like what I'm saying is like the difference between like when you cast a character, this person is supposed to play that character, right? And just like because he's so iconic, it's just like, I think you might as well have had Donald Trump be the Emperor.
That would have been awesome.
People would have loved it more because they would have hated him more, loved him more on both sides of it. And so for me, that was the only thing, because the movie opened up with his face. I think, like
maybe
I think it opened up with his face, and I was like, what the hell am I watching? Like, what are they doing?
It's awesome.
It's like I put my pants on like every other man, 2 feet at a time,
dude.
But when I do, I make gold records. Like just like.
Side note: in college, whenever we were doing our Christopher Walken impersonation, my buddy and I, we'd always just start with it was a video somewhere, some actor was doing his impersonation. He's like, yeah, I just say over and over to myself, pineapple and fart, the way Christopher Walken would, until I'm like convinced it's Christopher Walken. He's like, pineapple, Fart.
Yeah.
Fart. Pineapple. It's like you just keep doing it until like you work out like where the hiccups are, and then you're in it, bro.
Oh yeah. But I love that. And like one of my favorite videos I've seen lately is actually of Dave Grohl.
He does do a good job.
Lead Foo Fighters. He does a good job, but he just talks about he's like back when like Nirvana or back when Foo Fighters was on SNL for the first time. He's like Christopher Walken was hosting. He's like, he came up to me and he's like, hey, you know, like where's the like emphasis? Is it on Foo or Fighters? And he's like, oh, it's on Fighters, you know. And so he's like, and like he told like because Dave Grohl knew how Christopher Walken talks to the point where he told him where the emphasis was as a joke, and he's like. And tonight we have the Foo Fighters. Yeah. You know?
The Foo Fighters. I did watch that video, bro, and I thought it was so funny because you don't want to be like Foo Fighters.
Yeah,
you know, you didn't want to emphasize the Foo.
Yeah, and like the fact that there's just no emphasis. It's the Foo Fighters. You know, like, but it's just Foo Fighters. Yeah. And so, anyways, Walken for me. I love Christopher Walken. It just pulled me out of a sci-fi flick. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know what? Maybe I got to watch it again just for that because, you know, I think it just like he almost didn't. I think he was on screen more than he was talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot like where I just probably wasn't thinking like, oh, that's just Christopher Walken talking. Side note, if you love Christopher Walken, one of the best movies I think to watch is
Irishman.
I mean, that's good, but I was thinking of the like Seven Psychopaths.
Oh yeah.
What is it called? Like Seven Psychopaths in the Desert or something like that. It's with Colin Farrell and Sam. Can't remember his name. I'll look it up. But Christopher Walken just like absolutely excellent in that movie. I mean, it has like some of his best Christopher Walken lines. Sam Rockwell, Christopher Walken, Colin Farrell, Woody Harrelson. Yeah, pretty studded cast. But anyways, all right, bro, I get it. You can have one thing that you didn't like about it, okay?
Yeah, that's all.
That's fair.
And I love Christopher Walken. It just was like, what am I watching right now?
That's funny. That's funny. Alrighty. Give me this trivia, dude.
All right.
Etymology.
All right.
I see Arabic etymology here.
Yeah, just basically, you know, they're speaking this wild language throughout the whole. Exactly. And so the term Mahdi, which is what they call Paul's character, you know, it's a Arabic word. It means divine guidance, and so like a Messiah, divine guidance. And so the language that the Fremen used throughout the novels derives from you know, Arabic, but also contains some French, Greek, Slavic, other things that they throw in there. You know, they also had alterations of Hebrew and Sanskrit. So, you know, basically,
makes sense when in the future there's people named Duncan, Idaho.
Yeah, that was like,
you know what I mean? It makes sense.
That's such a wild name.
But it's not that wild when you think about what we name people today.
Right, but the fact that like that name held on for 10,000 years or whenever Dune said.
Like I guarantee you, if you like went back to like, you know, a couple decades after Paris was made, and you're like, yeah, there's like a literal celebrity whose first name is Paris. People would be like, why would you do that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so like, I think Duncan, Idaho makes sense. And I think an idea of like a melting pot of languages makes sense.
Right. And it makes sense for like the way that this, like we were saying earlier about kind of the themes of this movie setting up to like where we live is like, you know, yeah, it seems to be, you know, a Middle Eastern culture. Right. And so you got that stuff based in Arabic. We haven't talked a lot about Stellan Skarsgård's character, which Stellan Skarsgård, the last movie we reviewed with him in it was Morbius.
No, he wasn't in that, was it?
I thought he was the only person worth a dang in the whole thing.
Was
like,
he actually a scientist? He
was the doctor.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So and he was so underutilized, right? So this guy, big time. I mean, he's just like, I'd say this guy's he's not a big time actor in that he's on anybody's radar. Who's maybe not someone who's, you know,
he's big.
He's meaning like he's not a household name.
I think he is for a certain generation. I think for our parents, I don't think you and I realize it, but I think all of our parents respect him.
Right.
Because of like the things he's done acting wise. And I think for you and I, it's like he's just not zeitgeist enough for like all of us to know who he is and grow up with him as a household name like we did with Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's what I think. I don't know. Like he just hasn't been a huge that I know of like a huge leading role.
Yeah,
like
I don't think he's ever done leading roles. Really,
that's what I mean. Meaning he's not a huge lead man, but he is a like supporting a killer support role. And so like you have your, I think like I was thinking like a soccer team. You got your Lionel Messi's, right? Just they're the striker. They're putting it in the goal. But then also like there's that guy who plays left wing, who's like never scored a goal, but his assist count is out the wazoo. Like someone's got to pass the ball into the guy who knocks it in the net, and like that's what he is. That he is the he is that guy in the way that he is. He really never takes the lead spotlight, but he is just a mastercraft actor who brings a ton to the screen.
Bro, okay, all right, hold on. I got a credit. He was not in Morbius.
He wasn't in Morbius?
He was a scientist in the Thor movie. In the Thor movies.
Oh, okay.
He's in those, but I don't think he was in... Yeah, he wasn't in Morbius.
I thought... who was it? Who was in Morbius? There's a different guy in Morbius who's very similar to him, who's also not a very big deal guy.
We don't need to know, though. We don't need to... I don't want to go look at that movie again.
Anyways, that character, he is... his makeup took 8 hours to put on and 2 hours to take off. That's 10 hours of time just before you've even, without even filming anything, right? I mean,
I did think he was great in like he was in Good Will Hunting. He was in Hunt for Red October. Like those are some of the first movies I can recall him being in that I saw. Oh, dude, here's the thing that that unsettled me. What? Go ahead.
I'm thinking of Jared Harris.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He's very much.
He's also excellent.
He's that same guy who's like he's never the big lead man, but he
was in the HBO miniseries for Chernobyl. Yeah, he was
which
excellent.
Also was
he was starred.
Stellan Skarsgård was also.
He was opposite Stellan Skarsgård that whole movie.
Yeah.
But Stellan Skarsgård character in this, I think, was so unsettling to me because it reminded me of how sinister he was in the movie The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Have you seen that movie?
I actually haven't seen it.
Bro, I'm not going to say another word. I just want you to know.
I read part of the book.
Bro, that it's insane how dark that movie gets to me. Like that, it was unreal. Like that's a movie you watch once and you're like, I watched it. Yeah, it was good, but like, I don't ever need to watch it again. You know what I mean? Billie Jean and I saw it, and I think we were both like, that was so good, but so dark. And just don't need to watch that a second time. Okay, but all right. So, yeah, his makeup took a freaking long time, which is believable because he's not that fat.
No, it was 40 kilos
of like just rubber suit.
Right, which that's like
80 pounds.
80 plus, pounds. It's like, that's crazy to put that much weight on, which he said actually helped him play the role. Because he's like, this helped me like be burdened and be like where I need anti-gravity to get around. And the next guy, as far as trivia goes, like the main guy who was getting like attention in this was Austin Butler. And his big breakout role was Elvis.
Yeah, I think that was his big one.
A big one that he did, and he plays the I keep forgetting all these names of these people.
Fade Rotha.
He plays Fade Rotha, and it's funny. Have you ever heard him do his? Well, have you seen Elvis?
I have seen. I couldn't finish it. I turned it off halfway.
So, but like he can just like pull his voice into Elvis.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
It was so good.
Right.
He did a great Elvis impersonation.
And so, in the same way, like I think he takes his craft fairly seriously in that, like he went and took vocal training to sound more like Stellan Skarsgård, to be like his son or his nephew. Right?
He did a really good job. That like guttural, like rumbling of it's essentially like, if this is the way I think about it, is like It's like throat singing, where if you hum
Mm-hmm.
and then open your mouth
Uh-huh.
while humming, I think like he learned how to do that
Mm-hmm.
subtly while talking.
Yeah. And also what I liked about it was I didn't realize that was him. I've seen him in other stuff, and I didn't realize it was him till like
Fair.
well
no
into
eyebrows, bald, painted
Right.
white.
and his voice was so different, and like, you know, I didn't know who it was, which was good because then all he was Fade Rockar. He was just this this evil character. He put on 25 pounds of muscle, which is a lot of muscle for a small guy.
Yeah.
And I guess he's like a method actor guy, right? And he said that for this he chose not to be method because it was too dark of a role to sit in for that long. Because he just said it wouldn't be healthy for my family, my friends, for me. And then the director, Denis Villeneuve, who said, he said when the camera was on, it was like you were possessed. But when the camera was off, you were still maybe 25 or 30% like possessed.
That's funny.
And so he's like, it was like just enough that you wouldn't like kill anybody off camera. And so I think that he's gotten a lot of attention for his role in this. I don't know if I was personally that impressed by his performance of being an evil guy.
I mean, I thought he was an evil dude. I just I also think like you can only do so much.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what else? How much further could you take it?
Yeah, by like kissing your uncle on the lips and then looking at the camera. Do you remember that scene?
No.
There's a scene where like the big head honcho, he's coming down in his anti-gravity suit and like kisses him like on the lips, and then he kisses him back, and then has this weird like he doesn't fully look at the camera but turns and just has this weird like half smirk of like I'm about like it was weird and creepy. But anyways,
that's funny. I don't remember that.
That scene was just like that was very unsettling what I just watched. And it turns out that scene was actually improvised. Like it just happened out that way. I'm like, all right, it worked. I felt
Stellan
weird.
Skarsgård was like, watch this, I'll kiss him and he won't know what to do. And then like he kissed him back and he was like, all right, well now what do we do?
Yeah, he was like, he was a counterattack.
Yeah.
And with all this work on the sand, nowadays with CGI, like you can do anything. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the more you can keep it all in the production, it is so much better of a movie. And they had to have, you know, anytime you're working in snow or sand or mud, you really have to have super strict discipline around cast and crew, because a movie like this, you have hundreds, if not 1,000 people like around the scene. If it's just a scene of 2 people there, right? And so on these sand dune scenes, they had to have like crazy strict rules on who's walking where. And they were also really planning all their shots on where the sun, because the sun takes a huge role in this movie too, right? And so like,
yeah, especially like for continuity,
right?
You know what I mean?
And just these like crazy scenes of this super orange, wild looking world. And so they had to, you know, plan every shot very meticulously around when and where the sun was rising on what sand dune to get the most crazy effect. And, you know, like when you're on a movie set, there's constantly people in and out fixing hair, resetting. They shoot the same scene 20, 40 times, and you have to the sand dune would look like a tourist site, right? And so they had to just like really have huge discipline around that, which is a very hard thing to do. And then also they had to have a pretty serious crew to they'd come out with like rakes and then blowers and make the sand dune look like no one had stepped on it in ages again. And every movie has that where people are resetting, doing design on set design, but like to do that in the sand every day, all day would be such a huge undertaking. And they did a really good job, I think, at that, where because I was thinking about that the whole movie. I was just thinking about this would be a nightmare to film all these footprints. And so, you know, the last little, I think, piece of trivia would be, we've talked about him a few times, Steven Spielberg, the great master. Here's what he told to Denis Villeneuve, which was, he said, "This is a desert-loving story, but for such a desert-loving film, there was such a yearning for water in this movie. For all the sand you have in this film, it's really about water. The sacred waters that are yearning for green meadows and the blue water of life. You filmed the desert to resemble an ocean, a sea. The sandworms were like sea serpents, and the scene surfing the sandworms is one of the greatest things I have ever seen, ever. But you made the desert look like liquid. So, like, could you imagine being this director and being told that by that guy?
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was cool. Greatest scenes I've ever seen ever. That scene? I don't know. I don't think so.
I know, but like...
You remember when the animatronic T-Rex walked through the fence and you were like, oh, so they brought dinosaurs back for this movie.
Right. I know, but hey, I didn't say it. Spielberg did. Like, just
Sure.
just the level of compliment on that, you know, just to be like, you have arrived.
Yeah, no, that's definitely for sure. Like, and I definitely think it was awesome and it was very well done. Like, I mean, like I said, you totally forget you're watching something that's not real.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought there was bigger, dude. I mean, you know what the scene that made me forget, like dumbfounded, shocked, the glass, like smooth, perfectly reflecting glass sphere of the Emperor's ship.
When
and the way
the
that,
shot from under coming up at it,
and the way that flew over everything, and I was like, I believe this is real because there is no part of me that has seen this reflected CGI thinking that's CGI. Like, I saw that and I was like, no part of that was fake. Like, that is exactly what that would look like.
Either this is like an insanely accurate miniature.
Yeah. That is how it felt. I was like, I'm watching one of the best filmed at 240 FPS miniatures I've ever seen.
Or this took 838,
hours to render.
No, individuals.
Oh, okay.
Like CGIing, like, on their keyboards.
It was insanely well done.
To get it done, yeah.
That was, I think that shot of the mirror ship
that got me.
That was like the most. That was the first time I think I really have seen CGI, and like since losing the just acceptance of a naive child.
Right.
Like, you as a kid, you think Daphne from Scooby-Doo's real, and you got a shot.
Right.
Like, yeah. But like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a day you come to realize like cartoons and CGI is not real.
Right.
But then that's like when Uncanny Valley creeps in. And for me, I really do think that mirror ship is oddly enough like better than all the avatars I've seen, better than the Planet of the Apes monkey CGI. Like, that mirror ball was the first time my brain was like, I know that can't be real.
Right. Because it's
but
wrapping.
that is not Uncanny Valley.
Right.
That is exactly what I believe it would look like. However, I know there's no way it's real because we don't have, things the size of like Manhattan. Yeah. Perfectly smooth flying over a desert.
And the fact that it's round and so that the reflection is wrapping around it. I mean, it's like, I saw that too. I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah. That was unreal. All right. Well, let's give our thoughts. And also, not really any goofs because that's just how tight the movie was. Yeah. Like, there was some like such nitpicky, like, sometimes they have their goggles on, and then the next scene shows them with no goggles on. The goggles are around their neck, and I'm like, dude, they don't need to show us pull the goggles off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And some of those were even like the extra goggles were up and then down. It's like, okay, calm down. But the because it was nothing enough to pull you out of the movie fully unless you were literally a continuity.
Well, it's like I don't even. If I turn around and I turn back and you have your sunglasses on, I'm not like, oh, that's continuity error. Right. I'm just like, okay, he put his sunglasses on. Right.
Like, so my aunt was her job on movies like with James Cameron was continuity errors. Yeah. Right. And things like that, and scanning through it. Like, I'd understand if she had to be that nitpicky. had a bone to pick. Yeah. She's cursed. She cannot watch a movie and be happy anymore.
Poor thing. Poor
thing. She's screwed. But and the continuity stuff not really there, and then plot holes. You brought up some, but really nothing that was like no big picture things were unexplained throughout. Where you go like, I don't understand how they got from point A to point B on this story. And they had a tight package on it.
I'm gonna do something that we haven't done before.
All right.
I'm gonna say Dune Part 2 gets a very strong thumb up for me. but the Dune, Denis Villeneuve movies as a whole of like watching part 1 and part 2 to me is 2 thumbs up overall because I just don't think you can watch part 2 and fully appreciate it without like I do think part 2 there's no recap.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I think because of that, it can't be its own thing on its own.
Right.
So it gets a thumb up for a continuation.
Because it's not a sequel. It is a continuation of the story.
Yeah, it's exactly. So like, but I think like overall the 2 parts together, I can say like, because in my eyes, 2 thumbs are like, you must watch this.
Right.
You got to watch it. You got to give it a shot. And I can't say you should only watch one part and not the other.
Right.
Like I can't give either of them 2 thumbs up full. You got to watch this without doing it as a whole. So my conclusion is that both of them each get a thumb up independently. But as a whole story, 2 thumbs up. I do think this is like, if you enjoy films, if you enjoy good stories, complete, fleshed out lore and well-paced entertainment, 2 thumbs up, man. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can, especially if you call yourself like a real movie guru, cinephile, you got to watch it. That's how it's going to be talked about for the next 60 years, just as much as like the original Dune was talked about.
Right. And I agree in that if you are someone who likes movies, consider yourself a movie buff type thing, yes, this is a top of the list. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. If you are I'm going to say if you're a mom, like the mom, like the classic mom who just like watches a movie and doesn't know what's going on the whole time, it's a 1 thumb up. Like you can watch it. Also, just stop asking questions during the middle of it. Because
gosh, I hope the movie tells us.
right, because there's so much.
Why are they doing that?
Right.
I hope they show us.
Right, because there's a lot of inferring you have to do in both movies. Like you have to really kind of like you have to personally be actively, putting together the ins and outs, what's happening, what's not happening, who's what, why is this here, what's happening now. Like it's an active viewership in that sense. And you will just watch it and be like, I don't know really what just happened besides it was cinematic and eye candy or good movie, but I don't know what's going on. So, I think that, so if you're someone who's like, if you're a consumer of things like this, yes, it's right up your alley.
I still think it's just a good Saturday afternoon watch if you are a mom.
Right.
Or if you're a dad who's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch Band of Brothers again.
Right.
I still think this is a good movie to watch.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's a 1 thumb in that sense for sure. Like it's worth watching. And then for like people who are really into it, it's a
easy.
2.
Yeah, easy. I would,
sure.
I give it 2 thumbs up as a whole. Part 1 and part 2 together.
Yeah.
Individually, they get 1 thumb up.
I guess I need to go watch the whole first one.
Yeah.
To form an opinion.
I think that's how you will feel after you watch the whole first one and where it leaves off and how it leads into the second one.
Yep. Oh
dude, what if we just have like a Dune-palooza and we just like one Saturday?
All 3?
No, I don't want to watch the original. The original is so boring.
No, I mean, once the third one comes out.
Oh, God.
All 3 in a row.
It's a whole Saturday gone.
Dude, okay, so what's the newest big Marvel movie that came out?
Madam Web.
5 years ago. No, like the
other Avengers
with Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
and snapping the finger. Endgame.
Infinity War.
Okay, so leading up to Infinity War, me and my brother-in-law were like,
no.
Yes, we did it. We hated our life by the end. Now, it wasn't all in one sitting,
but it was one day.
No.
Okay,
it
can't be one day.
No, it was
There's
like,
not enough hours.
So we watched every Avengers movie in order, every Marvel movie, I should say, in order, which I think was like 20 up to Endgame or whatever it was. And like by like the time we were like Iron Man 3 or whatever, we were just like,
kill me.
Can we please be done? Because at this point, also Endgame had been out for like a week, and we were like, we gotta finish so we can go watch Endgame. And it was like by the end, we were just like, we hate Marvel. We just need to be done.
How was the reaction to Endgame?
We liked it, but like,
do you feel like that might have soiled it a little bit?
I mean, yes and no, because it was like all we had done for like whatever it was 2 weeks straight was like every night.
Gosh,
watched a Marvel movie.
Did you even like Marvel before that?
Not like, I wasn't like a crazy fan. I mean, I'd watched them all up to that point, but I wasn't like a crazy diehard fan. I'm glad that, Captain Marvel wasn't out before then. Maybe it was.
I think
don't
it
know.
came out right before Endgame.
Yes, I think we had to cap that whole marathon off with Captain Marvel. Just that.
Did that movie
garbage.
suck?
Oh, dude,
Pretty bad.
It sucked so bad.
It's awful.
So,
That's
so
about
bad.
it. There's something about like the Marvel movies, like after you watch like 2 within a week or something, you're like, there's a taste in your mouth. It's honestly the taste of stale popcorn.
Yeah.
And I don't know how else to explain it. Like, the magic is gone by the time you watch like 2 or 3 in under a month.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah, no doubt.
anyways,
Oh.
hey Ken, thanks for joining us. Big old nice long episode for you, but it's shorter than if you went and watched Dune 2.
That's true.
So watch Dune 2 and hope you enjoy it. Hopefully you're listening to this after watching Dune 2. Watch Dune 2 watch Dune Part 1 and Part 2 with some buddies this weekend or your significant other and have a good time. We certainly appreciate you listening in. Check us out on all of our other podcast platforms and on YouTube. Check out the store. We're starting to get some transactions coming through on that, so we appreciate you all. You can find out our favorite rifle scopes, our favorite targets for the range. You can just sign up for a monthly subscription of Liquid Death or Dude Wipes, whatever fits your fancy. And so anyways, yeah, check out the store and leave us a review, comment, like, subscribe, and let us know how we're doing. We appreciate you a lot. Pat, anything else?
Till next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.